Broadcast live.
Yeah, we never let a hard time humble us. Been through the pain, these rappers can never trouble us. 2018, everybody has I'm on sabotage, but I'm too blessed. Mudimon got double touch. It's me and Magazine, nebara shebe la kotlas, bartele la bar pinazzaro na trofele la kokas. Nebara nyata no di la seraba tabola.
About to go live with Blaklez, thanks for joining us. Let's just send him a little shout there just so he knows that we out here. Hey, yo, what's up, Les?
What's up, brother?
Are you at a place where the signal is great?
Yeah, our signal is cool, man. I had to find like a little corner.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope. Thanks for taking the call, man. Yo, that joint, man, Guluva ×2. It's fire. It's fire. It's like when you with with veterans, you literally always kind of pull out that kind of I don't know, I mean, I'm not gonna compare it to Freedom or Fame, but it's got that thing, you know what I mean? It's got that thing of yeah, man. It's you, but there's something,
Yeah. I actually, when I released the song, I just decided haphazardly, like, you know what? I'm just gonna roll it out. And in my head, in the back of my head, I want to build this song up because I think it'll have the same impact, if not like more impact than Freedom of Fame. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, because in the back of my mind, that's what I'm thinking.
And it's not something that I picked up when I was listening to it. Like, it's just that, like, now that I'm seeing you and I'm thinking of it, I'm like, yo, when you with like and Maggz, it's fair to say Maggz is a vet, you know what I mean? He's a vet, he's a legend without a doubt. And I said, yo, it's like when you're in that bag, it's like you don't want to let the legend down or yourself down. That's how I feel. Not even just from a lyrical perspective, but from a track perspective,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you know that Maggz is a little bit hard to find in these streets. Like, when you want to get a hold of him, it's like, you have to like go through the Great Wall of China, and security behind that, his bouncers, and you hope that he's at the house when you get there. So yeah, it was interesting that I couldn't get a hold of him. I sent him a text. Later in the day, he hit me up. He said, yo, I'd be honored to do this. I'm actually working on my own stuff. That's why I've been quiet. So yeah, you work with somebody like Maggz, and he's gonna bring his A game. And when we spoke about this song, we spoke about it not being a battle, but a song that people that'll live with people for many years to come. So if you can hear, he does the bridge towards the end. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to bring, yeah, that's his pocket. So we were trying to make a song of it as much as possible, because raps can be cool, you can like them now. Later, you get really tired of the fact that all the guy does is punchline and just rap. So we wanted to make a song that's gonna grow on people, not one that'll instantly hit them and it gets out of the system. We want a song that will grow, and when it gets to that peak, it's undeniable.
So did you even go to Maggz's crib to try to find him?
I called him, and I tried to get him into studio, and he said, you know what, I've got a place where I'm working at, so let me do it from there. And I was expecting it to take long. He was done with this thing like quick. He did a quick job of it. He loved the song. Yeah, and we were communicating. Now I'm trying to get a hold of him again. So trying to find a way to shoot a video on lockdown and not leave our houses. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but yeah, to God be the glory. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, man. I think he also was just classic Maggz. He came through. I won't lie to you. I think you set the bar so high, just with regards to when the song opens, and and you know, you mix up the vernac, you know, it's like it's very street, you know, and then so I was expecting that from him also, you know. So I had to listen to it twice to accept his verse. Do you know
Oh,
what I mean?
word. I
Yeah, you know, and his verse is fucking dope. You know what I mean? His verse is fucking dope,
hmm.
but like the way you had just set it up, you know what I mean? Then when he came in, the first time I heard it, I was like, why Maggz Repana? Like that's what I thought. Then when I listened to what he's saying, I was like, okay, it's on, you know. So what's
Yeah.
the plan with this, man?
Yeah. I think the most important thing was to give people a song that's well-rounded. And if you listen to his verse, I think he also had some things to get off his chest.
Mm.
I think the way he had approached this, he was gonna kill the verse in English and Ebonics, and then he's gonna come back and do that bridge, you know, where it takes it back to the hood. I had already handled the street urban side of it, so I think if you listen to his content, he has a lot to say about and where it started. I mean, he has a line that says, "We gave life to this fly shit. We the Wright brothers." And you know, to a mind that doesn't understand, you think he's saying that we are the Wright brothers, which he means we're right, we're correct.
Yeah,
But he
yeah,
also
yeah.
means that you know we gave life to this fly shit. We're the Wright brothers.
Right.
The
Yeah.
Wright brothers. Their surname was Wright. They had the first airplane that took to the
Yeah, they
sky.
started the
So
first
yeah,
aviation thing.
exactly,
Yeah.
the aviation. Yeah. So he says we
For
gave
those
life
niggas that
life.
don't know their history.
They don't know. Yeah, we know a bit of our history. So we gave life to this flagship with the Wright brothers. You know. Um, yeah, I think he's such an intelligent artist. Like he's not just an intelligent rapper, but he's such an intelligent artist. And it's always interesting to see how much he has in his pocket. And people don't understand he's also an extremely sharp guy. So yeah, it's nice to work with someone like that, and who's also like a friend. And you know, we go way back, so it's great.
Yeah, shout out Nomuzi. We see you. Nomuzi says we know where to find you know where to find Maggz, you know what I mean? so, so we'll call you Nomuzi next time, you know, right now for this video. Maybe you need to hit up Nomuzi for that video just so she can give you the connect, the quicker connect. Because they were all in
All
the
right.
same gang. They were all cash time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I probably should drop him a text because whenever I text him, he hits me back. It's respect, it's love, it's magazine, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was also checking your IG and I see you've removed all your pictures. You like got 4 posts, you know, and so I'm just trying to find out, you know, back when I was growing up, when you wanted to clean your stomach, you had to drink castor oil, you know. So nowadays, people delete pictures on the IG.
Uh, yeah. I was having a bit of a difficult moment. So I needed to like, yeah. And then you know it happens, and I think you would understand that you know times like these are very difficult. So you start overthinking a lot of things about the world, about yourself, about where to make improvements during moments like these. And sometimes we're hard on ourselves because we don't believe we've made the kind of changes that we should have been making or we should be making. So I was having one of those moments, and I felt like I looked at everything on there, just represented so much of what I want to get rid of, if that makes sense.
Phew, that's crazy. That's a huge
Yeah,
thing. I feel
yeah,
every year
yeah.
you want to get rid of something. You're going just, you know, every year there's something you are getting rid of.
Uh, I'm so obsessed with growth, man. Like I'm obsessed with growth, personal growth, financial growth. Like I think if you're an individual that doesn't think about growing and is not obsessing over growing and where you can improve and where how you can do, I think you're on the wrong path. I mean, I saw a quote that said, I forgot what that quote said, but it basically meant that if you look back on your life many years from now, let's say 20 or 10 from now, and you're still making the same decisions you were making 10 years ago and doing the same things, then you have a problem. No matter how good you feel you are, I think you need to constantly seek excellence. I think that's one of the reasons, or the major reason we're put here on this earth, to seek excellence, and it starts with seeking it from yourself. So you have to rid yourself of those anchors. Yeah.
I mean, so you got time out. Your time is making you think. Don't you feel that, or rather, I feel that like there's this thing where if you are, I almost feel like your mind can literally create this is who I am, like theory on your own. But like who you are really comes out when you are engaging with people outside. You know what I mean? When you are confronted with things that make you unhappy, with things that you're a sucker for, like if you're a sucker for love, using that, like things that you just love, things that you aspire to, it's almost like, those things like are the things that I think that kind of get you in a place where you really know who you are, right? But when you're on your own, it's almost like you got to just sit and just like prepare yourself for being mentally ready for what comes, because who knows what happens after this, as like after this COVID-19, from even music and an artist's perspective, who knows what comes after this?
Yeah. Very interesting point, because I was telling someone that it almost feels like the world has hit like a reset button. I think we're going to have to think about how we're living now versus how we're going to live after this thing is done. I think all signs point to the possibility being that we probably won't do the same things we were doing before. The world will quickly move. Like this situation has forced us to adapt to a certain type of life, to a certain type, to ourselves even, to put it that way. That when we come back, do you go back to what you'd see as default mode, or have you now come to a point where you've discovered certain things about yourself? We still have interaction, yes, with people on the phone. We look at how people text us, and we text a certain way, we feel a certain way. Some people are with loved ones during this time, and they're spending more time with certain individuals than they would have spent with them. So there are certain things that come up, and some of them have a lot to do with you, other people, situations, your career choice, just the things that you've been placing a lot of value on. So as you can see, Instagram is a little bit quiet these days, like in terms of like people posting their destinations and whatnot. It's you don't see some of those people you used to see. So, a lot of us are just like, we come in here and you wonder if as a person you're living for other people or not. So I mean, this is a nice time it's not a nice time, but it's an opportune moment to try and discover who you are, what you stand for, I think, apart from everything else, obviously.
You said something earlier on that kind of was interesting, where you said you're reading a quote that was saying that like if you're doing whatever you're doing 20 years ago, whatever the case be. But I've got another theory, you're a parent, and you realize how your kids learn things that you never taught them. And it's not even like they're learning, it's the evolution, whether it's walking, crawling, whatever the case be,
Yeah.
So I sometimes ask myself, is it me that needs to consistently change, or is it me that needs to consistently stay true, but be aware of the environment that keeps on changing? Because if the environment changes, let's say I'm in the hood, I'm speaking to hood niggas, I speak hood, so I acknowledge the environment, so I adapt to that. I go to the suburbs, I speak to white people, I acknowledge that, so I adapt to that. So within me, I've got the power to adapt, but I literally consistently have to be the same people, same person, and stay true, but acknowledge the world changing around me. So I wonder whether sometimes as human beings, we try to think that we always consistently need to change and fix ourselves versus us actually paying more attention to things changing around ourselves and having the faith that something innate in us is ready to adapt. And if it can't adapt, that means we shouldn't be there. You know? I don't know. It sounds complicated.
No, I get you 100%. I have to say, though, I've become a lot better at it than I was in the past. And I think you too, as a human being that constantly evolves and adapts to change, I think one of the most difficult things, or one of the most difficult things is accepting the reality that sometimes your way may be a little bit flawed. Your way may be, you may be in your own way, whether it comes to a relationship with your woman, your partner, your kids, your friends. You may find that everyone has a similar assessment on a particular issue that they commonly have a problem with you on. And your first instinct may be, bang suye, But if you look at the common denominator, it's you. You've been doing it a certain way for 10 years and it works for you. You think it works for you because people in your life have just been tolerating you. There is no desire to change anything because I am who I am. The world likes us to believe that we're the greatest thing on earth, which is not true. It's you are great in your capacity, but it's not always about you as a human being. One. Number two, this is going to completely contradict the first point. It is always about you from your point of view. So it's difficult to meet those points halfway and say, okay, I'm on a better. It's very difficult, especially with something that you've only learned to live with for most of your life. And say you meet a partner and she has a particular problem with this thing, and that's your way of life. You understand what I'm saying? It's a catch-22.
I hear you. Yeah. I guess, it does kind of boil down to that thing where we constantly are looking for that thing. I believe that it's easier fitting into my shoes than fitting into the world's shoes.
Yes.
And then I need to try apply that in my everyday living also, So not everybody's gonna like me, not everybody's gonna embrace me, not everyone's gonna be genuine, all those things. But who am I gonna be in that journey? You know what I mean? So all of a sudden I realized that I need to protect myself because I might be too kind, I might be too honest, I might be too giving. And sometimes honesty doesn't mean that I'm going, honesty means that I might not like you, Liz, and I'm going to tell you. Honesty means I might not like a situation and I'm going to talk about it. So everybody likes the truth when it's when they're comfortable with it, right? So I realize I'm all these things, and the thing I need to do is I need to protect myself. So when you start realizing that you protect yourself, that's when you realize that you kind of like an instrument in the world, and you're the one that has to know how to play yourself, or else people are going to play you. You know what I mean? So it's all those things that literally we try and master in life, because at the end of the day, it's never about everyone else. You're born alone, you die alone. People literally resonate with people for their energy. And I use this even with the guys I work with. I go, we all using each other. Let's not make a mistake. We all using each other. It becomes acceptable if it's done in a way that we all comfortable with. You know what I mean? But there is no one out here that literally, from us having this call, having this chat, I'm going to post it on my site. You've got a song, but it's in good faith, right? I'm using you for my platform. You talking about your song, people are seeing it, and we pushing it however we pushing it. We're using each other, but it's how we do it, and it's the intention behind the using. You know what I mean? And if we can take life like that, everything else is literally like then you don't expect anything from anybody. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Well, yeah. Well, even in using, I agree with everything that you're saying, but even in using someone, there is an expectation that there will be a certain type of response. There's an expectation that there will be a certain type of response, that this is what you might get from trying to use this person. Um, it's impossible to live a life without expectation. It's impossible. And I'm not talking about entitlement, I'm talking about expectation. It's impossible to live a life like that. When you get into a partnership with a business associate, there are expectations that you do this on your end and I do this, and there are agreement. There could be like an agreement that you come to, which is based existentially on the expectation that you both want this business to thrive. Um, you get into any form of relationship, as much as people, I mean, I think the world has gotten us to a point where we like to use buzzwords from people who write motivational and self-help books. Don't expect anything. It's impossible. I'm human. When I come to trust you and you show me a certain way, subconsciously I expect that to continue. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that it's difficult to live a life without expectation. But yes, we can live a life where we manage our expectations. That's a different thing altogether. You say, okay, I like Slikour. And I don't know if he'll put me on his platform, but I trust my music. Let me take my music there. And my music is so dope that I think it will be on the platform. And a guy like Slikour, who I like because I know he's a connoisseur of good music, should, in all essence, put my song on. That's expectation. When you say to me, Esai, this song needs this and that, it's not mastered well, whatever, that thing might knock me a little bit. But the expectation was that my song would be on there. I believed in it so much. And I married thoughts that had nothing to do with each other. Slick, good music, connoisseur. He does this for young artists or whatever, if I'm a young artist. Me, good song. Versus this, surely I'm on the platform. So that analogy is a little bit weak, but the point I'm trying to make is that whenever there is some sort of form of relationship, there is an unwritten expectation. Perhaps if people spoke to each other, then that's the best way to manage expectations. Where if you say something, you say, "Oh, okay, I thought this would be the case." The person says, "No, I didn't think that." But I don't know if you'll speak about everything that you expect in your mind. It's not feasible. But it's nice to say, have no expectations, be this way or that way. But you're dealing with human beings. We're not animals. Animals can do that. Even animals become soft. Dogs bark at other dogs, but they show love to you. I don't understand that. So the universe in itself and the world in itself has gray areas, and I think we need to give each other that much credit to say, okay, there is a gray area. As much as I have expectations, or I shouldn't have expectations, do I live without expectations, or do I learn to manage them?
Look, I mean, I hear you, and you're right. You're not wrong. You're totally not wrong. And I think that like that for me comes back to the question of I always go. Let's go to where everything starts, right? I mean, um, Les. I mean, your parents take for instance. Your mother is the soul, and like your father take for instance. They brought you in this world. There are things that literally you were gonna need because it's in your bloodline. It's just like it's like in your family tree. It's these things that you're gonna need because it's in your family tree. So if literally like the writing of a song, and the expressing yourself, or whether you're an actor, P dot literally is like goes to theater, he does all this shit, right? if that thing is in you, I promise you, it was in someone else in your family 100 years ago. Whether they were cutting the grass or were being whipped by a white dude, and they were just singing, and they were going to church, and they were taking it out in church. You know what I mean? That, and church could have been the biggest stage, the biggest platform, right? That could have been the only platform. Now let's talk what church is today for a preacher like Blaklez, or a creative that writes. It's Apple Music, Instagram, Spotify, Tidal, television, radio. You know, it's all these platforms that literally like now are your platform to preach your word, right? Now, when you go back to the beginning of everything, then that's when you kind of go, if this is who I truly am, and these platforms are not receiving me, right? Do I cave in? Or because you know, because if it was just church, let me just say I do it just for my fam, and I just did it for my fam, and they said, yeah, you the one. How, what validates these other platforms to make me cave in? You know what I mean? So if we go back to the core of the need, the core of the need is going back to who are we from our family's perspective. Because when we know who we are from our family's perspective, then even the things we value start like changing. And even the things that can actually like break us start like changing. And I want to use a simple example. I mean, for me, I was, you cannot beat the beast called SABC. You cannot beat the beast called ETV, DST. You can't, you know? But I say this all the time, but I don't see myself working in those environments unless I'm the boss of something. Now, you're going to tell me that every other kid that literally is trying to get into those platforms in the world, old people, young people, and me, where the fuck do I get the balls to say that? So then if I get let down by radio not being played, or this not being done by those platforms, I literally kind of go, but I still need to create because it's who I am. Because immediately when I literally connect who needs to see my creativity, then I cave in. And when I cave in, I take away my great-grandfather's innate thing to just go to church and just go, hey, you know, that one platform. I take that away because I don't interpret it in 2020, you know, because he interpreted in 1920, 1820, 1720. So how am I interpreting it? So immediately when I cave in because of these things that other men have created, men and women have created, that means I'm not living true to who I am. And I think that becomes the first part of where your depression comes from. So this concept of expectation, and when I say we use each other to answer our ancestral kind of callings and where we come from. And our ancestral callings connect us to other people. So I will meet Blaklez because I need to understand a little bit more about Pretoria and with the headspace there. And I will meet Smacks because one day I'm going to want to rap. I don't know why I met Smacks. I'm going to meet Smacks because one day I'm going to want to rap. And I don't know that 20 years later in our relationship or 10 years later in our relationship, we're going to create a squatter camp. But I'm going to meet him because my ancestors bought him, right? So it's those things that literally, in my view, I feel that start making us, once we know where we come from, and not like I come from the hood or the block, you know, once we know where our family and our innate needs come from, then we know what to be precious about, you know? But it's not a thing that you know by default also, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you make very great points, which I cannot disagree with. I think, I mean, with going back to, say, let's use the analogy you used with, say, somebody in your family has a particular gift or particular calling or particular thing, and you now maybe 3 generations later, um, decide you're gonna take up that calling, say it is music,
It's gonna take you
but
up. You're not gonna take it. It's gonna find you, and it's gonna. And
yeah,
if you
you
don't
see,
listen, you're gonna go crazy. So
well,
you
you
have no
see,
choice.
you see, you are now bringing a spiritual element to it. You've already like we're there now, where you're saying if you don't do what you're supposed to do, it'll go crazy. There's a spiritual element to that. Is there not? Yes? No?
I mean, like, yes, spirituality calls it crazy, but in real life they call it depression. Oh, well, I mean, in the white world they call it depression.
But spirituality calls it crazy.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, like, I guess.
okay, okay, um, okay. I hear you. Uh, say you're not interested. Say you start taking up music. Your your great grandfather was also a musician. You know the platforms were different. He used to entertain the people in the villages, whatever. You take up music and you're not good at it,
Mm.
or you're good at it, but you're not good at you know, mastering the ways to create opportunities out of how good you are. Um, and you decide, you know what? My friend and I, Tsepo, we started this trucking. We started trying to do this trucking thing. It looks like it's popping. This one here only gives me too much stress. This one brings in dough, whatever, but I'd like this one to pop, but it takes away my ability to function because when I face a certain type of when I face these challenges this side, which I don't give me as much as that side, um, it affects this side because I'm unable to be um, prolific and productive this side because I'm so worried about this thing, which is a calling, that I'm
Mm.
unable to function in the real world.
Mm.
And now, no one can do anything for me where that's concerned. Where do I go? What do I do? Do I suspend this until I make this work? But life doesn't work that way. And me as a human being, I'm not built to be patient forever. As much as we can say a lot of things and be motivational about stuff, but the bottom line is that you are here on this earth, on this planet. You're living at the current moment. And the expectation, not from you, from the world, is at the current moment. Um, it doesn't work according to your schedule. You can, if you're a Patrice Motsepe, you can get to that point, but it doesn't start at a point where everything works according to your schedule. The only way anything's gonna work according to your schedule is if you are earlier than you're supposed to be. If you're like 1 hour um, before shift, wherever you work, you're able to do whatever it is you want to do, which will bring some sort of preparation to your life. And when you get into that task, you're more prepared than you should have. You go back and you are happier with how productive you are. That kind of thing. But more often than
Yeah.
not, we're not early. So the expectation from the world, unfortunately, or from whatever it is that you've decided to take up in your life, whether you decided to buy a big house, to rent an apartment, or do whatever, there are expectations at the end of the month. If you bought a car through a bank, the expectation is through the end of the month. Then you are supposed to do something about that. So you live according to a bit the expectations that you have accepted. You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying? If you decide not to get a job or whatever, you live with your mother. The expectation will be that you are the small boy, even though you're 30 plus at home. You'll be sent to go buy bread. She sends you to fetch the remote to bring it to her. You don't work. You're still a child. You don't bring in any form of income. If by some default your mother does die, you now become the head of the home. So there are expectations, and things don't always go according to how we want them to go because we also have our own expectations. You can be the kind of person that says, you know what, I won't do anything I'm uncomfortable with. But that's a lie because when you get into a relationship, you're going to do things that you're uncomfortable with. So you know what I mean? So um, it's very difficult to be black or white. There is some gray area, especially if you live on this, if you're on this side of the grave and you have interactions with other people.
So let me ask you a question, right? Let's just say Windows. What's that? Microsoft, right? Um, how long does it take to build that, and how many years do you need to consistently keep on trying to build it for it to become where it is today, right? You look at Steve Jobs, they started in a garage, but how long did it take Steve Jobs and them for Apple to be where it is? You know what I mean? So within that, a person is working on themselves and they're working on something external, right? Now, you literally can talk about, you've got your trucking opportunity and you've got and you got your music opportunity. Now, you got to also remember that sometimes life is going to, I'll use an example. Rapping for me wasn't my, it wasn't my ultimate calling, you know? It was an alley hoop to where I needed to go. But what I got from rap, where rap put me, it never put me, I wasn't like an up and coming, trying. It put me there at the top, at the top, at the top, right? At the time, obviously, it was at the top, at the highest it could ever be. Even when I was in my solo, it was still at the highest it could ever be, right? It is so easy for me to expect, going back to your words of expectation, it is so easy for me to expect that that is my thing. So because it's my thing, if Blaklez drops tomorrow, fuck him. If Questa drops tomorrow, fuck him. I ain't checking for nobody because this is my thing. Not because I'm trying, because everything is coming to me. There's a time where you couldn't do anything rap without Spotter Camp. You could have a rap show without Spotter Camp. Come on, forget it. You know what I mean? Across the country. And no one has experienced that in rap today. No one, right? Because if you don't have Casper, you can get AKA. If you don't have AKA, you can literally always do whatever you want. You know what I mean? So we were at the point, because we were the first, it was the highest level of that success. Now, maybe there's the lesson from me of humility where you kind of do detach from expectation. Because I got angry. But yo, does Nati or Fistus know who the fuck I am? I mean, this is me in 2008, 2009. Do they know who the fuck? I already got fans. All he needs to do is just play that song, and if the song is right, the fans are going to say it's whack. That's how big we are. You don't need to tell me my song is shit as an individual. That's the power we had as a group, right? So how easy is it for me to expect that? And then when it doesn't come anymore, I literally kind of like cave in. Like the cave in is so hard. So I had to realize that rap was an alley hoop. So your tracking thing could be an alley hoop. And you might be at the prime of it, the prime of tracking. And so only for you to come back to this thing that you care about, which is this rap thing, right? Somehow, someway, but you don't know how you're going to get there. So I think another thing that is a challenge with us as human beings is that we also think we know the how we're going to get there. But we're the same people that when someone had to ask you, how did you become famous? You go, everyone's path is different. It's not the same. But you always are trying to figure out that. You always think you know the how. So because you know the how, you think you know the how, that's when you have the expectation. Because how literally almost nurtures expectation, right? Because if it doesn't work how you want it, then the expectation is like, oh man, then fuck them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to use a stupid example. Whether you talk about the Do Me, the verse of the year thing, the episode drops, and you are in the list, and you have your feelings about it. But it's not the how. You concerned about how you on the list, not concerned about there's actually 10 people in that list. And in the whole world, you are one of those 10 people. So you're concerned about the how. Am I number 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5? I'm using that as an example. I'm not kind of like,
no, I hear you. I hear you.
you know what I mean? So I think that because when we start thinking we know the how, and that's when we disconnect from knowing ourselves, because ourselves literally knows that like maybe it's not real, maybe but because now we're so attached to the how, it builds the expectation. Because before Les can put a face to Slick, Les already goes, I'm gonna break. This is how it is. I'm gonna be online. Before you put a face to Slick. So by the time, if Slick doesn't give you that laugh, you're already gonna put a name to the hate. But because you've already built the how before Slick even existed, before SABC existed, before DSTV existed. So because we thought we're gonna know how we're gonna get there, we struggle. But what if we're the ones that are gonna build a whole new media platform and a whole new avenue?
You know what? This goes back to our point about expectation. There's expectation. The expectation comes with whatever plans that you have made. And it also, but now where expectation fails, there needs to be adaptation. You agree or you don't agree? One adapts. You adapt.
Whether you adapt gracefully or whether you adapt.
Yes, you adapt. The adaptation may not be something that's in your favor. You could adapt by deciding that, you know what, as you quite eloquently put it, that this might have been an alley-oop for me for something else, and that's adaptation as well. Or it could be that, you know what, now that I listen to it, I could do better here with this song, tweak it here and that. That's another form of adapting. You take criticism, you go back and work on it. You know, I can list a few possibilities about how you adapt. Where expectation is something that can never go away, but adaptation can be the intervention where expectation versus the actual end result, where they are contrary to each other, then adaptation needs to step in, and you need to find a way in which you adapt, which is also not an easy thing, because people are no one. Huh?
Sorry to cut you. Sorry to cut you. I just wanted to ask: do you think that we also, because you went to expectation and adaptation, do you think that we also nurture expectation?
Yes, we do.
We could avoid that.
It's possible, but the percentage in the cases.
Of our thinking.
Yes, but I don't think a lot of people are conscious of they're conscious of their expectation not being their destiny or their calling or whatever you call it. I don't think many people have confused their expectations with the eventual reality, if that makes sense. I have seen this. I have done it since I was a child. This is what I want to do. This is who I want to be. My mother used to do this. It runs in my bloodline. The pressures that have really nothing to do with the intricate being that is you. Like you haven't really figured out what you even want. There are people walking the earth who are over the age of 25 who have not figured out what they want. And I'm not talking about career. Career is something that if you're in the right headspace and you don't have anything, what's not next? When you're in the right headspace, you can find a way to build a career for yourself. I really believe. I was watching something that got TD Jakes, and he was speaking about, oh my God, please don't forget it. What was it? He was speaking about sound-mindedness and fruitfulness. Sound-mindedness and fruitfulness. If one is sound-minded, whatever you want to call that, maybe we can go back to your point of knowing who you are, knowing exactly what you would like, knowing where you come from, knowing the support structure you have even within yourself. You're sound-minded. You're able to be fruitful because you spot the gaps. you spot opportunities even in a position where your expectation has led you to a cul-de-sac. Then adaptation comes in and says, you know what, this doesn't stop who I am, because who I am is not really limited by the expectation that me as Slick, I'm going to be the best rapper that ever lived in the world or in Africa. And you realize maybe there's somebody else with a bigger destiny here in this thing than I do, which is a difficult thing to process and accept if you've lived according to your life, being told that you are this, you are that, you are that, outside of, in your circles, in your family, which is the point that you touched on earlier. You get into the real world, and I think that's why children go to school. That's why we are told to, apart from building the economy, to go to work and to interact with different people so you can expand your reality and your horizons and see how things are done. Because you get to your guys, the young stuff that you got there, when they get there, it's a different environment from their homes. It's professional. The expectation is that you're more professional than you are, emotional and more self-serving. You interact with other people. You need to speak to them respectfully, even when you're upset. You cannot just walk out of a conversation and leave your work halfway through. You have to find ways to adapt. And you hope that those things, even though they're external, those kind of lessons, when you come back to your normal life, you're able to do that. But we're not. For some reason, we switched that off. And when I'm upset with you as my brother in the house, I can slam the door and do whatever. Where if I'm upset with you at work, I'll just keep quiet. I'll keep quiet and not say anything to you for a while. And then later I might come back tomorrow and say, you know what, I didn't like that you did A, B, and C. Yet we can't apply that in our personal life. Because even there, the expectation is that, Marusia, how can you do this? How can you say this? He's my brother. You know what, this guy, he's selfish and I walked out on you and I said what I wanted to say. But I wouldn't say it to a stranger. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But you see, that's why I have this analogy about Black people, us in particular, and I call us like the greatest adapters,
Yeah.
And for me, that made me actually literally go back a little bit on my journey. I use the example, you could be drinking alcohol, you could be smoking, and you can go, yeah, I'm fine. And you could literally almost justify why you're doing drinking and smoking and not stopping based on your history, right? But the truth of the matter is that alcohol wasn't around a couple of years ago. So the problem is not the alcohol you're drinking. The problem is that you probably have a vice, Now, fortunately, I love fucking cakes, right? So I knew from the get, and I loved ice cream. I couldn't stop eating ice cream. So I knew from the get that I'm not going to start smoking.
You had another vice.
I was addicted to shit that is not addictive. Even when them cakes don't taste good, I'm still, do you know what I mean? So from a young age, I knew that if I had to start this drinking and smoking thing, I'm never going to stop. And that had nothing to do with Maggz. That was just me as a kid, just being self-aware that, nigga, you wait for your parents to go to sleep and then you start boiling kettle and doing Milo. So I knew I had a problem. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's a stupid analogy, but I'm just saying.
No, I feel you.
But those are things where we also then start inheriting things that were not there 200 years ago to justify some of our shortcomings. Do you know what I mean? So in that, it's a case of we have to find the purest sense of ourselves. And I call ourselves the great adapters because we were moved from the rural areas, brought into the city. Now, when you leave your crib right now, Liz, I mean, I think I might even say it in a rhyme. I say, when you leave your crib right now and you're earning 10K at work, and you're the only one that works in your family, when you're earning 10K in my suburb, right? In your crib, you are like them. You like, yo, you responsible for everybody. Fair? At work, 10K, you a junior, right? So you now have to adapt with, over here, I'm like the most important person and all this responsibility is thrown on me. Over there, literally I'm being put under pressure and I'm told that like I need to work harder, etc., etc. And over here, when I walk in the house, meaning at home, I literally, even though I'm the breadwinner, I still need to be, yo, respectful, do what I need to do. At my work, I'm treated like shit. No one respects me. I literally need to speak English all day, you know. I literally need to fucking like when I speak to them, I can't just go, yo, I can't do that. I can't do the shit that I normally do. Them niggas are drinking coffee, you know. I'd normally wake up and maybe if like, even if I had a Heineken, they drink coffee every morning. I can't, it's not part of the culture, you know what I mean? So you see, you've got all these things that you adapt to in the white world, and even when you do wrong, let's just say these are things where like now they affect your work. Let's say like your boss says they don't like something, or and you don't know that you need to send an email to kind of like justify the conversation. But then when you're sitting with HR, he said, "But I told him," and then he goes, "I don't know what he's talking about," you know. So there are all these tricks of survival in a corporate world that when you go in there for the first time, you like, they don't, then your excuse is, hey, I belong. And you probably were the guy who was the breadwinner at home, but because you were literally coming into a new world that you weren't really adapt to, you literally leave that space also, and now you are struggling because the truth of the matter is that it's white people that run the economy. It's white people that black people end up working for. Where do these white people come from? These white people, most of them are global companies from Europe, from wherever, who they have the policies from Europe, and even the mannerisms and the behavior, you literally need to have those things, even though you're not going to be like always in a tie, but there's certain things that like you're doing at home that you can't do there. You know what I mean? So we are by default are the great adapters. Whether you take it in the rap world, whether you take it as a general person who's waking up every morning, gonna go look for work and they don't rap, black people are gonna be adapters. But with us, as maybe as guys in the entertainment industry, is that while we're adapting, we're not only judged by white people when you get into a boardroom, we also judged by our own people. Because for our own people, also like this type of success is foreign. And maybe making this type of money is foreign, and it's so-called legal also at the same time. So, you know what I mean? So, like, and then you're like, no, I ain't fucking no chicks. I'm just doing my shit out here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's foreign.
sorry
You know what I mean?
Sorry to cut you off there. It's weird because the other day I was in an Uber, right, and the Uber driver was like, you Blaklez, hey, you know. I'm like, okay, sure. So like, it's one of those days where you just want to just keep quiet and whatnot. And he's like, hey, he starts off with the compliment. Whatever. Sure. So vele truthi, abumini, uploma nabo. It's like, you know, now the whole trip, I was answering questions about every girl under the sun.
In the industry.
Everyone in the industry. So you do this. Hey, I'm showing them how you are fair to. Hey, you do this. Hey, you know, everything. You know, I was even being asked by Drake if Drake ever calls me. You understand what I'm saying? So the community, I swear.
And it's not funny though. It's not funny.
Yeah,
It's real.
but
Because let me be 100 with you. So you got to deal with that type of admiration, and then you get in the industry. Then like, who the fuck are you? Or you get in another space and you're trying to keep selling yourself. And you're saying, but this is who can I please get that guy from the Uber to show you who I am? So your mind literally cannot settle on who are you in the space, because everybody keeps pulling you up, others pull you down, others just ignore you. It's fun.
Where do you
bro.
go? Where do you go? Like where do you go? We know we are looking at different types of scenarios. You mentioned family at first. You said family know your roots, know where you come from. But the people connected to your roots, there's pressure coming from them, which is you are supposed to be, hey, you're getting 10,000. To them, it's 10 million. That how can this guy get 10,000 a month and can't give me 100 rand, Aibo? You know what I'm saying? You go to work, you earn 10,000. Yes, you earn 10,000 at work, and every time there's a staff thing happening, maybe they're having drinks there. Someone is always trying to pay for you because they know that, hey, 10,000. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is the
There's somebody
10,000
always
guy.
saying,
You
"Let
know,
me
this
buy
is
you
the
a beer."
famous.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you work at the
yeah,
same place. Like, yo, let me buy you a beer, bro. You know, he knows
yeah,
that
yeah,
10,000.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
your friends
Jeez.
they think, hey, this guy. You know, when you go out on a Saturday, you are the guy. And when we're talking about the most dire situations where maybe you guy who in the hood, you are the guy that works and your group doesn't work, and the people that you grew up with, and you've been telling them, hey, gents, I know you want to do this thing, but try this on the side so you can keep, you know, when you go out, that man's your responsibility. But you want to hang out with it, you know?
Because
And
those are the
when you
guys
hang,
that you grew up with and you're comfortable with, right?
correct.
But
So when you hang,
they making you feel like you're the office nigga.
correct. Um, when girls come by, whatever, that nigga always asks you, hey, Fana, trying to pick the best girl for you. It's like he's buying you, you know, whatever. Like, yo, you know, maybe he's got the guy with the personality that's able to talk to the girls. You know, me, I don't have no personality like that. So, you know, he's the one that makes it happen. He's like, yes, these girls say if you can buy one bottle of Rihanna or whatever, Fana, you know how it goes. Like, but she is kind of fly though. Jamison, I've got 1,000 left. Jamison, it's like maybe in the club or wherever. It's at that spot. It's like 350. I have to buy mixers. It's another 150, whatever. 500 left. I need to get gasoline from there. There's 2 weeks till payday. I need gas and I need to eat as well. But because I'm Mr. When in my circle, I didn't want to disappoint. You understand the pressures. I mean, these are silly examples. But the point I'm making is that
But these are realistic examples, and I think that it
correct.
all then comes down to the expectation. Because we don't have an expectation for ourselves,
Yeah.
we allow people's expectations of ourselves give us pressure. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's another thing. So I always say that in life, you like in a triangle, you know, you got wants, needs, and expectation. If I've got like, if
Let
I
me let
need,
me let me let me jump in. Which one is more for you important in those three that you just mentioned? Let's not move away from there. Quick. Let's stay there. Wants, needs, expectations. I know they're all somehow related, but which one? How would you, if you were to prioritize them, say list them in order of importance?
because we're gonna cut right now, they coexist. They 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 coexist. It goes because we are people of contradiction, right? So I always use this example, right, Les? Les, you want to be a multi-platinum rapper, right? You want to blow up, right? You want that. Or it's your need. It's your need. That's your need, because if it's your calling, it's your calling. It's your need, right? But you want to go hang out with a machita. So you're not in stew. You know, you don't want to read the books about you don't want to read the books about like educating yourself in the music. You don't, right? Then you drop a joint and your expectation, or you expect yourself to be this artist, but you're not that artist. So you fail on your expectation. Then you
Before
get
we
script
cut,
one.
answer those things in order of importance. Don't give me that politician whatnot.
Okay, okay. Because we are people of contradiction. Needs are the most important. Wants are your distraction. Expectation literally like are either are show whether you are true to your needs.
List them
I've
in
given you the
rank.
list.
Yeah, but
I've list.
order of so it's needs.
Yeah, I think everybody knows this after this thing. So I was saying, yeah, it's
Yeah.
wants. I think needs have come first, right? Wants a distraction of your expectation and those that are waiting for you.
Mm.
So so there's no order. There's no priority of order. There's just like how you position each. Need is important. Wants distracts you, and expectation literally is the result of how you've handled needs.
Ooh, I like that. So, ish,
And so I say,
but you see,
I say that life is driven by that triangle. Those are the three. That's what drives life. You know what I
but you
mean?
see now. Well, here's the thing: you could be driven by well, your the third one you said is a result of how you've handled needs.
Mm.
Yet people have expectations before they actually deal with needs. Correct? Most
Um,
people.
well, I mean, here's my thing though. There always has to be like a beginning. You know, it's almost like yes, you know, as when you're born as a baby, like your first day in the world, yes, people can have an expectation, but you as a baby, you still not like, you don't have an expectation. You just
Mm.
need your parents to give you that milk and take it. That's what you need, right? And you're too small as a baby to actually even have wants, because your mind hasn't even developed to having wants. So what I'm trying to tell you is that like wants is something you develop. Need is something that you are born with and you're gonna die with. You know what I mean? So so what we go through your life from zero to death, literally like your life is gonna be determined by how much your wants were distracting you in the end. And that expectation literally like is going to be the result. So what a lot of people literally live by, if we could measure life, a lot of people literally like in the needs, wants, expectation kind of thing, they literally have like 10% needs of their life, 80% wants, and then 20% expectation, or 10% expectation. So now that you literally haven't filled in your needs, now, remember, I'm just talking about you now, your triangle of needs. Then you meet Sia. Because you are strong, or you meet Slikour or whoever, because you are strong at going, at selling yourself, your needs. You always like, yo, I need this, man. I need this. It's my life. You know, I gotta eat. You're so strong at selling your needs. You're so good at selling your needs. Because I can't see your wants, right? Because your wants, everybody, when everyone sees you, they never show you your wants, because your wants are your sins. So
Yeah.
you're so good at selling your needs. Then now I have an expectation for you. Now we're talking about inverse expectation. So the inverse expectation literally like goes, oh, you said that you're so hungry, you're going to do it. Now I'm expecting you to do it. All of a sudden, I'm waiting for you to do it. And I literally like now start having a conflict. So I always say that like you've got internal conflict and external conflict. If your wants are distracting your expectation, then you have a conflict. When you meet me as Sia and you also come through and you sell me your needs and then I expect something from you, then we start having a conflict. How does that conflict look like in real life? It looks like, well, fuck you, man. I'm never going to ask you to do that again for me. Because you had the internal conflict from the beginning. It was never the guy who's not helping you, never the guy who never reached out if they were authentic with it. Shout out to Ganja Beats. So all I'm just trying to say is that like what people need to realize is that all the conflict they get from outside is based on how many times they literally haven't addressed, how many times they literally entertained wants and not needs. And tell you one thing, from the day you're born, you have a need. You don't have a want. People might have an expectation for you, and you can allow people to overwhelm you with your expectation, then you're in trouble. Then your wants are going to grow. Then your wants are going to be like their wants and your wants. Imagine that.
But
Some people
but
are
this is
living
what
with their wants and your wants, you know?
this is what I was talking about. You asked me earlier when you said when it seems like every year you go through stuff where you need to cleanse or do whatever. And that's the point I'm making to you, that there are times where you find yourself where you've placed your mind in a space where your wants have become like this monster. Remember, what you feed will grow. So you decide what you're feeding. And you will grow that. If you're feeding the desire for your wants being the ultimate, that's what will grow. This is where you'll be frustrated because let's be honest, your wants are not are not a guarantee. We want many things. That's not a guarantee, but your needs, they're also not a guarantee, but your needs get the apt, if you are aware of them and you're conscious of them, and that's your priority, they get the attention. And I mean this in a sense that even if you don't get anywhere close to your needs, you will get something. You hope to get something that will get you closer to satisfying a portion of that, if that makes sense. Expectation is a mother, bro. It's expectation is one of the biggest reasons why we have conflict in the world. Think about what I'm saying.
Yeah. Expectation is the heart of conflict.
Yeah.
Expectation is the heart of conflict. You know what I mean?
So,
and yeah. Go on.
Yeah.
No,
So I look at it in two ways. One, I believe in a life of balance. I really believe if you have expectations, then you need to have a system in place that matches the level of your expectation. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that system will work because there are people who put in so little and expect so much. You need to have a system in place. If you know you have a system in place, and I'm talking about people who are sound-minded, who are in touch with who they are. If you have a very strong system in place that matches, even sometimes surpasses the level of your expectation, if it doesn't work, then you know it wouldn't have worked. I'm talking about people who are now sound-minded. If you've thrown the kitchen sink at it and you had been thoroughly prepared, if it doesn't work for those years, then you know it couldn't have worked. That could be, look, nobody has anything figured out. I'm constantly figuring it out. And sometimes you hope to figure good things about yourself than the negatives, but sometimes you need to figure the negatives out so you can deal with them, so that you don't affect a situation where your needs are displaced by your wants and your expectations. For example, when you are a married guy, there's a need to be with your family, to handle certain things a certain way, to be loyal to your wife, to be kind to her, to not beat, those things. You're not gonna walk in the crib at a certain time without letting them know. Those are the needs which have expectations in them because there's a certain commitment that was made. And I believe it's like that with anything that you try your hand on. If you've committed to something, there will be expectation. Commitment itself means that I expect a certain kind of behavior. Sure, there are those circumstances where you need to discuss, okay, does this mean that this is this way? But if there's a commitment, if you, for example, let me use a living example for you. You employ how many? Over 20, how many guys at Slikour and Life?
Well, shout out to COVID-19. We've done to 11, yeah.
Oh, snap. Oh, sorry to hear that. But you had over 20, right? Before COVID-19. Yeah. And I walked in there and there's like a bevy of young faces. It's like young black faces, and it's great to see. And they are happy. They're in an environment that they know that it's there to help them grow. One comes up to you and says, "Hey, can I get a job?" Like a new guy, and there's a vacancy there. One maybe just left, and you tell them, "Okay, this is what we need to do. This is what I need from you. This is your job description." Woo, woo, woo. Some of the things will be in the contract. Most things will be in the contract. Conduct, time management, being not, the way you handle yourself. But somewhere in the contract, you don't tell somebody to be nice to other people. It's not in the contract. You don't say, don't be mean to people around you. Don't be this person that's unpleasant to work with. But the expectation is that this person would be a joy to work with. If they're a certain way, it upsets the system. It's not in the contract, but it's the expectation that Singabantu, we don't know each other. We're here for a common purpose. We know that we're not here to nurse each other or whatnot. The expectation is that this person will be a nice person. And, 5 times out of 10, the person is not a nice person. There's always a person that's like very difficult to work with. Their style is like this and like that. Doesn't suit the expectation, but the expectation is that this person we all have the same objective. Let's have the same respect and discipline.
I mean, so you know what I wanted to how I want to actually kind of wrap, and also what I want you to also take, maybe, the reason why I talked about the baby and the baby who's born with the need, I was trying to show you that, like, the way God has made the world, whoever you believe in, Allah or whatever, Jesus, whoever, but, or just even how life works. There's a seed, right? For a country, there's a seed. And this country becomes this big thing that makes my house fucking dirty. You know what I mean? There's a beginning for everything. And there's an ending for everything. There's a beginning for you when you're born. And with that beginning, and this is the phase, this is how life is phased. You were talking right now about how people have it figured out. You don't have it figured out. You literally have to always go back to the beginning. And I already said this, so I just want to rephrase that. Beginning, you are born needing a certain care to grow as a child. So God, or you as a baby in heaven, you choose your parents, right? So what happens is that, like, you use those parents, so they feed you. They feed you to grow. Those parents feed you to grow so much, they start loving you, because anyway, they carried you, they got you. So, they literally get attached to fulfilling your need. It's called parenting. It's called love, right? When you lose that child, right, you're still alive. Let's just say, something, but like you feel like you've lost something. People get depressed, like, what did I do wrong? I think with parents, like, could I have told him this? I mean, I say this because I could imagine as a parent, if I had to lose my child, which I never want, right? But the first thing is like, how could I? Well, at least we try to protect our kids so we don't feel that way, right?
Yeah.
So really, my kid is using me for protection, for growth, because their hands don't work, whatever. So we are using each other. And I'm using this kid to say that I can produce, to feel like I'm grounded, right? Because before I had this kid, I was listening like this. But this kid is making me see the importance of why I need to stay loyal to my wife, all these other things, because I need this thing to work, right? I'll tell you the things I want, which will get me into trouble with my wife. Take, for example, if I was a guy, because I'm a guy, right? It's not like, any other girls. So I need this to work. So everything starts with a need, right? Anything that you do because someone else said, hey, the Les, why were you not shy? That means that wasn't yours. That's influence, right? So life is phased in need. And then you're going to be addressed by wants, which the Bible has called the devil, right? And then at the end of the day, you have to live this life called, like, this is what you have produced in the end, besides just having a child. So everything, Les, when you wanted to rap, there was a need. Then you wanted fame or freedom. You know what I mean? So if there was that need to rap, whether you had that fame or freedom doesn't count. Because if we talk about that fame, like you got Nipsey Hussle fame, you got Roddy Ricch fame, you don't have that fame. But you're still rapping. So why aren't you frustrated that you don't have the Nipsey fame and whatever, but you're always going to be frustrated by the smaller fame? So all of a sudden that fame's concept starts becoming a want. I'm using that as an example, right? So life is phased. And everything that you do, you got to always like go, okay, like yesterday, I started this on live radio thing. It's something that I needed to do. I just felt that I needed to do it, right? Now, all of a sudden, there's all these tracks that everyone is asking. Now I got to literally ask myself, why do I want to do it? You know, I literally always have to pull myself to the why do I want to do it before I'm explaining to everybody why your song never made it, why your song made it, or this thing is cool, everybody likes it. So now that I'm getting a big hit, so I got to keep on bringing myself back to the need. As small as it is, I now got to get back to the I needed it. And then now, because I needed it, like literally like the expectation will work itself now. Because like now, I literally let it work itself. But everyone else outside now has an expectation. They want me to put their song. They want me, but now I need to literally also manage those people and say, yes, this can make it, this can make it, blah, blah, blah. I need to do that in a polite way, in the right way, right? Whether I put it on or I don't. But I know it's going to come with an expectation because of my need. So I put myself in shit. I got over 120 emails last night. You know what I mean? Over 120 emails because people want to put on these songs. It was my need. Now everybody wants. Now there's an expectation. You know what I mean?
From which end? From the other end, right?
There's an expectation from, but you see, my good deed will be fucked up if I don't know how to manage the expectation. So let's say I ignored everybody that sent me the song. Let's say I'm like, because I'm trying to respond to as many people as I can, but let's say I ignored everybody. Then even my need as a good deed is now fucked up, right? So now I must manage that expectation, but I did see it coming. Now, what is it going to look like as a success? I can't tell you what it's going to look like as a success currently because I don't want to create that expectation. It's just the need that has no kind of, will it make money? Will it be great? I don't know, but I'm just trying to fulfill a need. So, you know, it's just that other people live their lives and go, well, if we do this radio thing, this thing is going to be the biggest thing. Is going to be. I don't even know. I don't even know how I was going to make money with Slick on Life. You know what I mean? But it was a need. So what I'm trying to say, life is phased. Make sure that you always know the need, and be conscious of the want. Be conscious of the want that creeps in. Be conscious of the one that, like, when you're hearing other people, like, you get tempted. Be conscious of that distraction. That's what we need to do. We just need to be conscious of the distraction. We're not perfect. Sometimes this want creeps itself in some beautiful dame or some big ass chain or something, you know, and you're like on some yo. And that means that person also saw that thing. Oh my gosh, fuck. That means maybe I can get more people like that who can see it. And Sway, so Sway is now following me. That means, you know what I mean? So all of a sudden now I want more people like Sway, like Drama, like so and so to follow it because, like, you know, and I lose track of the need. The need is that I really needed to do it.
You've just inadvertently described our hip hop industry or genre. You've basically just summed it up inexplicably without even just being aware that that's what you have done. You have, and I feel bad for you because you have to deal with us. You have spoken in a way which is ideal, but is unfortunately not how it is.
Of course,
you've spoken about you've spoken about people who know themselves, the people who you put yourself as an example, but you're a person that's constantly that's trying to figure themselves out, as you know, without stopping, which understanding that life is not any form of destination but a journey. Unfortunately, and we see it now during a time where COVID-19 has put the world to a standstill, which is we've never lived in those times where the whole world is at a standstill. We are living identically to each other. Some might say New World Order, but you just never know. So what you see now, you are seeing the cracks. Well, the cracks that we knew about are becoming wider and wider. People who can lead, you notice that this guy is a leader, whether in political capacity or in community capacity, or it's somebody that gets a lot of screen time and is a celebrity or whatever. We're noticing that, okay, this person's a leader. This one likes attention. we are noticing that people don't understand that we have a common enemy. The world is at a standstill. The suggestion is that the world is a common enemy. But I get onto social media every day. I see black people having a go at each other. I see so and so must fall. I've lost track of who must fall, like every day. I see people talking negatively towards each other. It's terrible. It weighs you down, and you realize that some of these people are the most successful people in our country, in our industries, in our country's industry. And this is what they have resorted to doing to maintain the attention of the public. You find your family members talking about the negative things that these guys are doing right now because it's entertaining. It's become a real life sport. It's no longer like something that's written for TV. Now it's on social media where people literally generate negative publicity to create talkability so they can do an interview with you, Slikour, so you can ask them why they said this, why they did that. It's basically where we're at. Now you have young people coming up and all they see is that, and you're telling them to know themselves. Okay, fine. Know your roots. Know your roots. But these kids are also exposed. We cannot run away from that. And we don't know how strong mentally they are. You can instill structure and value in them, but we don't know where they are mentally and what moves or shakes them or what doesn't. You only hope that you as the figure in the house, you as the figures, you and your wife in the house, you gave them that grounding. But it's no guarantee. What they're exposed to a lot of the time is what we're talking about right now. And
So,
it's yeah.
okay, carry on, so my bad.
No, it's fine. I was wrapping up anyway.
So going to exactly what you're saying about the kids, now you asked, we talked about need, want, and expectation, right? Why are we having this conversation? It's needed, right? What do I want it to do? I don't have the power of what it can do. So therefore, I don't have the expectation, you know? So as much as you are mentioning these kids that are listening already, but like, the conversation is needed. Will everyone absorb it? No. You'll be sitting in a room with like 1 million people and one person will work out with the idea. One person will be great if you give them. So my thing is that I don't even have the expectation of the one person taking this and actually using it. But where's this, where the things I'm saying, where are they coming from? I got to ask myself, okay, sure, I talk a lot, but where do they come from? And if they do make sense, where do they come from? So clearly there's a need for me to say them. Let me give you an example of the first motherfucker that fucked up a want and an expectation. Moses had the need to go get the 10 commandments. And Moses wanted everybody to just worship God. So that nigga literally took the 10 commandments and he just got them straight out the box from the mountain. Straight out the box. And nigga just got them straight out the box. You know, it's like whoever started Gucci gives you that shit. You know, Jesus or God gave him those 10 commandments. Like, yo, B, there is no other person who produces shit. He gave you that shit. And because you wanted people to be a certain way, you threw that shit and broke those motherfucking commandments. And you know what God said? He said, oh, hell no, nigga. I needed you to take those things and then just say them. Don't expect them to be what I am saying. You know what I mean? So if we go back to the history of need, want, and expectation, that's the story of Moses. The story of Moses was he was needed to take people through wherever he was supposed to take them through. He was needed to do that. It's like you need, like me, maybe I was needed to be in squatter camp. And then I fuck it up in the end and I just go, fuck all these kids, fuck this. That's me throwing the 10 commandments. And a lot of people do that. So the story of Moses was an example of like a person, and I used the example of squatter camp was on a high level. So I was given these commandments up there. I was sitting on the same mountain with Moses. Up there, getting awards, being the first hip-hop dudes to do this. And then I got up there And did I come down and I throw the 10 commandments? If I did, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. Because you know what happened to Moses? Just like everyone else that kind of became something, their names are there, but they never crossed the river. Was it the river, the ocean, or whatever the case be? So also you got to literally like analyze these Bible stories and what they really trying to mean and what they mean for your life and how they apply in your life. So that literally comes with the need. There was a need for Moses. And Moses then created, put an expectation.
That's where I was asking, and I was saying, you are now speaking about people. You're talking about people who know themselves, who you're assuming that these guys want to know who they are, and they're interested in knowing that. Maybe they don't even know that that's what they want right now. That's why I'm saying we are now living in an era where people are forced to be thinking about how they're making music, how they're living life, how they go about relationships with other people, what's important in their lives. And we are now, and I'm saying some of them are the most famous people you can get. And their biggest draw card is to act the fool on social media. So talkability continues, and maybe the sponsors will give them money because they are the names that people keep talking about. Maybe people will book them because there's a lot of talkability, but
it's fear.
It doesn't add, it doesn't, yes. Let me finish this thought. Doesn't add anything into our communities. What are we pumping into our communities? Because the biggest thing that people ingest is knowledge that comes with a way of life and what their eyes are subjected to. It's the biggest thing. If you're a person that watches pornography every day, you're probably going to be a lustful individual. The possibility is that you are a lustful individual. No disrespect to people who watch porn a lot. Whatever it is that you feed will grow. What is it that, and I want us to just look at this before we wrap. What is it that we're feeding, because we are leaders in the communities that we come from, even though we don't live in those communities anymore, but we are leaders there. Those are the people that consume what we feed them, as much as we are now have learned to speak the language of the man that you don't want to work for. We are constantly be delivering certain messages to our community. Our community says, okay, cool. To get to where I need to get, maybe is to say off so and so and start a fight with this guy or do this or it needs to be negative so people can talk about it. And I need to spin it when it gets there. Sometimes it gets like that, and a person jumps into that. They live that. Their whole existence is now they feel like they're misunderstood because they jumped into this thing based on what they were fed. And they said the only way for this thing to work is for us to do this. Not to make music, not to collaborate, not to have good conversations, not to have good vibes, but it's to be cliquey and uppity and snobbish. And because I am a rapper from such and such a place, I now need to hang out with these guys and be snobbish towards those ones. And it feeds a certain monster. And this is I'm using an example that's flawed, but the point I'm trying to make is that what are we feeding our communities? Because our communities come back and they start fighting with us.
So this is where we talk about like a fear, right? This is a fear of what I know makes me popular is under threat now. Whether it's bookings, so I have a fear. And if I'm gonna go down, I'm not gonna go down quietly. I'm not gonna go down on my own. So that means that like even then our people look to the wrong people for leaders. You know what I mean? I use the analogy where I could have like a million followers on Instagram, or I could have like close to 500,000 people on Slikour and Live. But like it's the million people, it's the person who has 1 million followers that's going to be praised, because we've been trained to celebrate things that we don't own. We've been trained to see the results from those things versus them going, oh, so Slikour and Live is what you own, and this is what it is. You understand? So it's those things that our minds also if let's say you know why it's so difficult to be in relationships also? Because people like can't choose partners. And and you know why we conflicted? Because people can't choose leaders. So if you literally like are following a guy who's got 1 million, 2 million followers, and they literally like now like throwing their toys, you
Well,
chose the wrong leader.
your politicians have 1 or 2 million followers, don't they, Slick? And right now they're at the forefront of the buffoonery on Twitter.
Well,
Are they not?
hold on for a second though. When people talk about fame and money makes people go crazy, so and rappers go crazy with fame. You see, I just don't like when people make it about rappers, because
Yeah,
doesn't fame and money make politicians go crazy?
yeah,
And don't they have more accountability and responsibility? So at the end of the day, it's that thing where, yes, we have chosen the wrong leaders to a certain extent, but the voice of reason is not always the voice of power. But if you literally like bring yourself closer to the voice of reason, you'll have peace. You might not have clout. So other people would rather have clout than peace, even though they know that they don't want to be, that they're not comfortable in that space. So I think everybody literally wants to be in a space where they have some type of peace. But when you
yeah,
have peace, you don't have wants. You see,
yeah,
you need
yeah.
peace for you to get clarity. You need peace for you to understand yourself. You need peace for you to tap into the best parts of yourself. You need peace to clean yourself. But you see, when you got wants, they literally in the way of that peace. Understand? So when
Can I
they're
ask
in
you
the way of
something?
those, yeah.
You can preach. We can preach peace all we want, right? Like I
Mm,
said, we living right. And again, I'm playing devil's advocate.
mm,
You cannot have peace on an empty stomach. You don't know peace on an empty stomach. You don't know peace when you don't know where you're going to sleep, or you don't know peace when you don't know what your child's going to eat. You don't know peace when you feel excluded, whether economically or whatever. You don't know peace. Peace, yes, we can seek, but at what level? At what point do we begin to seek it? Again, peace is a need, but it falls in a box with other needs that, because we live on this side, we're on this side of the grave, those needs will come before peace. For
so let
example,
me,
hold on. For
go,
example,
sorry.
for example, if I got laid off from work because of COVID-19, or my salary has been cut by 50%, it affects maybe school fees, it affects maybe the fact where I live, I might need to go back home. It
Mm,
affects most things. Now I'm speaking from a middle class point of view,
I get it.
right?
It's fair. Yeah.
I'm now not speaking from people's point of view who live much worse than I do, who are told about social distancing and spacing, and they live in communities where money was dispensed for government to upgrade those communities, but now it was used to buy bottles at Cubana and call the likes of us small boys, and you know what I mean. Um, Now their houses are like this together. There's no form of, even the houses can't socially distance, so space, whatever.
Mm.
Um, they don't know, they don't have anything. Now, again, it's your point of bad leadership. Yes, okay. But you're telling those people about, find peace. You're playing. Ain't no
So
peace.
yeah, okay. I think
I'm not
that you
saying
have.
I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm saying there are different. This conversation that we're having is between two middle class people. You were like super rich, aren't you? Like I heard you in the freestyle talking about 15 mil in 1 year. Anyway, so two middle class people. I'm just playing. Two middle class
Why do
people.
you like my freestyle, bitch, nigga? Carry on.
Huh?
Carry
Yeah. So two middle class people, and the biggest thing is pay cards and whatnot. And you need to find peace. Hey, bruh. I have the
So let me
luxury. You've just showed me something that I have the luxury to seek peace. I have that luxury to, hey, when I'm down and somebody like, yo, what's going on with Les? Yo, let me call him. I've got that luxury. It might not be because there's no money or whatever. It might be because of, like, I feel like the world should be this way and it's not. It might be that. We've spoken to that. But it's difficult for young guys who are coming from the most abject, difficult situations to
so
even
let me tell
understand the
you.
concept of peace.
So all these things, Liz, they don't come from nothing. Everything is connected, whether it's broken families, whether it is what it is. It's not like I was living in the suburbs. I'm from the township, right?
Yeah.
And when I grew up there, fortunately I had two parents, to take care of me. But my parents were super strict, right? And it never we were being sent boxes of food, right? Like by friends of my parents. They'd send us boxes of food, like white friends that my parents were, so it's not like, like we were hyped. You know what I mean? It was that type of life that we're living, right? So with that being said, I think we must be careful of thinking like a government. We must be careful of also undermining how Black people can live and should live. The rule of social distancing is a rule that white people or like the global world created with no sight of people in Alexandria. Our leadership took that with no sight of the people that are the majority that represent them. So I am not going to take in the whole conversation of talk peace, whatever the case be. There are people who literally are living in literally like smaller, crazy small places, like you're saying, who actually do have peace, who actually are content with what they have, you know, and they literally just like, the guys who literally probably are making money, but they don't even want to leave the burp. They don't even want to leave
No,
the
you
hood.
hold on. I need to interject. I'm talking about people who are hungry, people who don't have. I'm not talking about people who are managing to make the best of the situation. I'm
Okay,
talking
so
about
so
people who are in the most difficult. You see, you and I, we're saying the same thing. I don't want you to. I don't believe government is the whole answer. I believe every single individual. I don't want to wait for I don't want to politic the situation. I don't think politicians should be the only ones trying to make people's lives better. I think we should try and make our own lives better, other people's lives better. I don't want to politicize the problem. I'm speaking about just generally when you are demotivated and there's no way to go, like needs, like basic needs, like food and water and those things. If you don't have them, you cannot have peace.
so here's what I'm saying to you, Liz. Here's what I'm saying to you. Um, it's almost comes from a place of, let's go to the most basic thing of like our needs, right? When we even talk about peace, we need to start from the fact that like people, we all need each other as an energy. Now, you say if our leadership, there are people who have more, who are able to spill over to the people who don't have as much. Example, like the people, and not only in like money, food, but also in insight. Sometimes for me, I wasn't given money in my life. I just was shown things and then I applied them in my life. And I try to repeat them again and again. This is how I'm here, right? So with that being said, we literally it's what you talking about. You're talking about a leadership of people posting, and I'm not politicizing it. I mean, maybe you celebrities, and you're saying all these guys that are seen as leadership. These guys probably also need to kind of like tap into another space and go, how do we literally like consider everyone else that can't find that peace? And you might find that the person that doesn't have poverty, they're not asking for a Gucci bag. They're just asking for the most simple thing. So those guys, and like a lot of guys, those guys will work for 2,000 rand. They'll work for 3,000 rand. And you hardly find South Africans that actually also will work for that when we talk about gardens. That's why when you look at like people working at McDonald's, when you look at people like working at like doing gardens, they're not South Africans. And they might be Zimbabweans, but the Zimbabweans are also running the banks up there. So the Zimbabweans are at the bottom, at the pretty bottom, and at the highest of it, as an example. Like other Africans. Let me rather say that. Other Africans outside South Africa. So I think that, like, we must also be aware that, like, the person that doesn't have nothing is not as complicated as the person that has everything, but they just want more. It's just gluttony. You know, so there's also the person that has nothing literally is more assertive, because they know that I just need bread. The person that has everything has got everything, but they want clout, they want Gucci, they want all these things that keep on changing in the world. Yes. So those guys with less have probably more peace.
You and me.
No, Les. I'm talking about even you and me. You and me, literally, like, it's even harder to find peace because of what our minds are exposed to and everything else that we know. For us, it's harder to find peace. Money doesn't buy you peace. Money sometimes complicates things even more.
Let me give you an example quickly. A friend of mine sent me a WhatsApp earlier and said, would you let a white guy do your garden? And I laughed. And I was like, yeah, hey, for the flex. And I'll probably take videos and pictures. And then he said to me, I just had a conversation with a friend. And there's a guy, a white homeless dude, or a white guy who looked like he really was struggling, came and asked him. He saw him outside doing the garden. He said, can I do your garden for you? And the cat asked his wife. The wife said, absolutely not. We're not going to give this guy guap, whatever the situation was. And so he asked, and he said, he told the guy, he had a conversation with the guy and said, but this thing could actually have a good effect on your kids. When they see a white dude doing your garden, the kids might think, okay, even these guys can do this thing.
Of course.
And I said to him, okay, now I'm thinking I would have done it for the flex. Same reasons as you, that white guy doing my garden. Now my mind tells me that that's a job that's beneath them, but it's okay for us to do it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So
it's a flex for me. Yes,
yeah.
It's a flex. By flexing, I've submitted that.
Exactly.
A person that flexes is a person that's submitting that we shouldn't be getting this stuff. We should. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is not for us. So a flex, you said it earlier, it's insecurity. What's the biggest house for insecurity? Fear.
Yeah. So you see, these are the real things that we're dealing with. You know, we're dealing with fear. We're dealing with conflict. We're dealing with like and yes, when you speak them, they sound like simple. But truth of the matter, you know, they're not easy. Even when I speak them, I mean, you telling me right now that like a middle class Sia and a middle class Les, it's easier. Well, let me tell you, someone that has less literally is very close to their innate need, very closer to their innate need, versus like a Les who's had like rap money, like hamburgers shit money, like clothing money, car money. You've got all these types of money, you know, like lifestyle money, club money, travel money. Your type of money has got so many varieties that, like, if one is short, you feel it and you think about it. It's in your head. But I just need bread money. Tonight, I find more peace because I just need bread money. You know, I always say it's like that mistake where you driving and then like white people drive and you probably like live in the hood, or like people live in the shacks. You go, ish, ain't my so annoying. But those people are probably like just like, you know, like they happier than you. They just don't have what you, and they love what you have, but they probably happier than you. You literally are caught up in debt. You caught up in that. You caught up in that because you have all that money. Where the bank said, no, you can't afford it, but we'll approve it. No, you can't afford it, you can approve. So your money is in different colors, which means your problems are different. This guy's money is just bread. It's one color. And if I don't have bread, bruh, hey, if I can't just get bread for my family, hey, you know what I mean? It's not a, what is it when you go to a fast food or Wimpy and they say you have a bottomless, you know?
Yeah,
when you have, when people have a lot, they have bottomless wants. But when you're close to your needs, your wants are not bottomless because you're close to, this is just what it is. I just need bread, you know? Yo, Les, this has been dope, man. I
Yeah.
literally need to get on a need call at 3 o'clock. You know?
Okay, cool. This always happens when we speak, bro.
Yo, shout out,
Yeah.
man. I mean,
Before I go, I just want to say congratulations on the baby. Many blessings, brother. I saw that. May God
thanks,
continue
bro.
to bless you. Thank you for this platform that's really, really fighting for the culture, the art, and the mindedness of the individuals in this art form. We salute you.
Shout out, dude. Shout out. We played your joint yesterday on the radio, yo. You know, we got an IG radio.
Yeah,
And
I was there. Somebody tagged me, and I was literally forced to go up there. So I saw a lot of love. Thank you so much. Great way to really make people be about the music at this point. I think we're getting to a
that's
point
it.
where we're making traditional radio obsolete, music-wise, that is.
I don't want to say that because, you know, because me, I got friends with guys, and I don't want guys to think that I'm carrying grudges. But we're going to do what we do. I don't have an expectation. Sorry, let me just say, going back to our conversation, no expectation. We're just doing what we're doing.
Sharp.
Shout out, J Hood. We see you. Peace, my G. Peace.
Broadcast live